So, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is probably, I'll just go ahead and say it. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is one of my favorite animated movies, superhero movies. Definitely 100% without a doubt the best Spider-Man movie, period. That's come out since ever. So, at first, and it's funny because I'm a Spider-Man fan, right? But I criticize basically everything that has to do with Spider-Man. Spider-Man PS4, I feel like is kind of overrated in its own sense. I feel like the story kind of falls flat in certain areas. I feel like a lot of the relationships aren't done right. I feel like the gameplay sort of falls flat. A lot of the other Spider-Man video games sort of fall flat. MCU Peter Parker, I feel like he kind of falls flat. I feel like he's kind of immature. I feel like his story and his character development are ultimately hindered by Iron Man and the MCU as a whole. Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, I feel like as far as being the first person to represent Spider-Man on the silver screen, I'll cut him some slack. But with Into the Spider-Verse, my common criticism, or about what I really expected, I expected the multiverse aspect of it to fall flat. I expected them to, I kind of expected this middle-aged Peter Parker to be very, very, very unappealing. I kind of expected it to be, Spider-Verse adaptation number 5,000. Honestly, I really did, because I read the original Spider-Verse. I'm a big Spider-Man comic book fan in general. So I'm going to be pretty harsh on how Spider-Man is represented in the media, as I, sort of elaborated on in my Sonic movie video, whenever that comes out. If it comes out after this, God forbid, I don't know. But I'm harsh on Spider-Man because I know it's very easy to just put out something lazy for Spider-Man and just call it a day. This ain't it. I love this movie. So first, I just want to get some flaws out of the way, and then I want to just gush about this movie for maybe like half an hour. So some flaws here and there. I do feel like some of the voice work kind of, in some areas, some very minuscule areas, it's not even like a big thing. Some minuscule areas, I do feel like some of the voice work falls flat, and the multiverse aspect could kind of like step on the movie's toes just a little bit. But overall, man, so I think this movie is one of the best looking movies I've ever seen. I think it's one of the greatest animated movies I've ever seen, as far as just how the base style looks and the sort of techniques they sort of involve and the color palette of it. It's actually beautiful. The OST of it, it's something akin to Black Panther. Not in the sense that, we got a lot of hip, cool artists on it and it's gonna be great. It genuinely, you can tell, like, you can't just say all the music is awful, in my opinion. Like, you can tell that it had some work put into it. It had some of these underground, Chance the Rapper is like the premier artist that they show, on the OST. Like, oh, we have Chance, and his entire thing is that he's underground, and that they have Post Malone, they have Nicki Minaj, I don't know why, they have Juice WRLD, they have a lot of these other underground artists. They have, it just has this very homey, very niche charm about it, and I think that is, I think that's like the perfect feel you could go for when it comes to a Miles Morales film, and that's kind of what this is. It's, at the end of the day, is a Miles Morales film, and I think it does a very, very good job at it. And I'm surprised it actually balanced this out. It has the balance, the idea of a multiverse. It has the balance being the first real introduction of Miles Morales to the mainline, just the general public, just the general consumer. It has to deal with, not having, Peter Parker as a Spider-Man in general. It has to do some world building. It has to show us that it's worth investing into it. It has to be like a somewhat good animated. It has to, first of all, it has to deal with being a Sony product. Let me tell you something. Sony products are awful, okay? If it's not a PS4, it is awful. It's gonna be awful. But this movie is great. This movie is a 10 out of 10. I honestly can't recommend this movie enough. As an animation fan, as a voice acting fan, as a comic book fan, as a Spider-Man fan, as an acting fan, as a cinematography fan, you know, this movie just appeals to so many of my senses. And as a music fan, you know, it just appeals to so much about me. And it doesn't help that Miles Morales is like one of my favorite Spider-Man ever. And I know that's controversial because, you know, when it comes to this movie, some guy named Godzilla Mendoza made a video about how unoriginal Miles Morales is. You know, it's pretty obvious. Brian Michael Bendis copied Stan Lee, made a black Peter Parker. He said, he went on to say that blah blah blah. They hope they do Miles Morales right, even though they already reinvented Miles' character for all different. So I'm not really, cause I don't know. Maybe it's not his fault. Maybe he made the video way before Secret Wars happened. But yeah, they already reinvented Miles Morales' character way ahead of time. So they definitely did pull from some of that. They oh man, and this movie it is so charming. This movie has a lot of charm to it, and it's not like I thought it would be more like MCU level. Like, let's force in a joke here. Like MCU is great. Like, it is great. Its humor is great, but I do feel like it can get pretentious. Like, and the MCU charm doesn't work for everything. Sometimes it doesn't even work for itself. So the best bet was to avoid trying to be too MCU-ish. Now, the introduction of the Spider-Man, the introduction of the multiverse, the simplistic plot, Miles Morales' character development, everything about this movie, and it's like they did certain stuff right. So, minor spoiler here, the mainline Peter Parker in Miles' universe is blonde, and at first I was like, you know, why would they do that? But they just wanted to hammer home the idea, just little stuff like this. They wanted to hammer home the idea that there can be a different looking Peter Parker. There can be a Peter Parker that is blonde. There can be a Peter Parker that has natural blue hair. There can be a Peter Parker that has natural pink hair. And it's literally the same thing. It's called the multiverse. And I really, and that's another thing. As a multiverse fan, man, guys, I personally, I can't recommend this movie enough. Now, I was gonna go see Aquaman. That ain't it. Go see Into the Spider-Verse. See it again, because I'm gonna see it again. I'm probably gonna see this movie like 3 more times. Oh my god, this movie looks so great. And you know, I've never laughed. Like, I've never laughed out loud. Like, people say, well, it got a chuckle out of me here and there. I legit had my mouth wide open on some of the parts of this movie. Like I know that sounds disingenuous, and I know every other vague YouTuber says that, like, oh, you should check this movie out. But no, like, genuinely, my mouth was like wide open, like, are you kidding me? But I was like, my man, Miles. I was like, dude, like, and I think that's what makes Miles so great. He's genuinely someone you can get behind. Miles. They did a great job with him. I love his design. I love how he has the little afro. I used to rock, dude. I love the afro look for Miles Morales. Okay, because with Miles Morales, he's half Hispanic, half black. With Miles Morales, he's always had like the buzz cut. Not the buzz cut, but he's always had the fade. He's always had. I've always either wanted him to have braids like me right now, or an afro, because back then I wanted to cosplay as Miles Morales, and back then I had an afro, and I was like, how am I gonna make that work? How am I gonna put the mask over it? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the stuff that just goes into this movie means so much to me personally, but I also think it holds a lot of charm for basically anyone who can look at it. And one of the main messages of the movie is that anybody can wear the mask. any one of us could be Spider-Man. Anybody. And I know they don't outright say it. They're not gonna outright say it in a children's film. But regardless of race, regardless of gender, regardless of time period, apparently, regardless of nationality, etc., anybody can wear the Spider-Man mask. And I think they did they did such a good job with this movie. Oh my god. And if you're one of those people who loves looking into the cast behind the movie, that's where you're really gonna enjoy this. You're gonna, and I've seen so many people online, so I know I'm a dime a dozen when I say this movie is great, this movie is revolutionary, this movie is refreshing, this movie is new, but genuinely, this movie, man, this movie, oh my god, I like, I'm probably gonna be one of those people. I'm in love with this movie. I'm probably going to see it a couple more times. I haven't been this enamored by a movie since Winter Soldier, since Black Panther, since the first Avengers, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, with like, everything, like, I feel like every mark they could have hit, like, I never once felt like, oh, that's wasted potential. I never once felt like, oh, this is a waste of my time. I never once felt like, and you know, it's crazy. I love being wrong, because I thought, no, this is just going to be generic Spider-Verse adaptation number 50. I thought Miles Morales wouldn't be that good of a character. I thought he would just, honestly, I thought like the whole urban looking suit, this whole baggy look that he had would be, no. If you have any preconceived notions, if you're kind of like me, which you're probably not, I feel kind of cynical sometimes about Spider-Man PS4, and we're gonna get to that version of Miles Morales in a second. But if you like Spider-Man, period. If you like Spider-Man, period. It's not like a, well, the first Black Spider-Man or the first female Spider-Man. Like it's nothing like that. Like the movie is magical. So as far as Spider-Man PS4, that version of Miles Morales is awful. Now with Miles Morales, I honestly, I'm just not feeling it. It just feels more pretentious. I don't think he was introduced very well. I don't think he had any development. I don't think, like of course people are gonna be like, well, but he's gonna be Spider-Man in the next game, but I just don't think they did him well. I don't like his look. I don't like his attitude about stuff. He's just, that just ain't it. This Miles, this movie, dude, I'm gonna get the Blu-ray. I've got to get the next two. I don't know. I'm gonna blow all my money on merchandise for this movie. Like, and oh my god. And part of me is just so happy as an animation fan to know how animated movies are viewed in general, to know how animated movies are treated nowadays, not only by like the public but by corporations as just these tools to sell toys, to just not want to stretch out beyond anything that is just the court style or just something to strictly sell toys. It doesn't matter if it has substance, like the Boss Baby or something like that. It doesn't matter if it has toys. It doesn't matter if it has any sort of charm. It doesn't matter if it's any deeper than like a pond. Like knowing, and not just corporations, but the common consumer. Like animated movies are for children and whatnot. And there can never be a good animated movie. Like boy, and this is the. I think this is monumental in a sense. I forget what was the last comic book movie. I want to say Mask of the Phantasm, and that is so great. This is a great follow-up from Mask of the Phantasm as the next comic booky film that has gone to the silver screen. You know what? I think I've said enough. You know, without going into spoilers, without discussing the spoilers, just how charming this movie is, man. And the post-credit scene, I feel like a lot of people are going to appreciate the post-credit scene. I'm trying to kind of decide if I should discuss spoilers or not. Where are we? About 15 minutes in. Spoilers. Okay, I'll talk about the spoilers. Okay, Spider-Man Noir. He usually doesn't use webs in his comic book, but he's usually using them in the movie, which is fine. It's great. I don't mind it. They slightly redesigned everybody. He has a little, fedora. In the comics, he's from the Great Depression and stuff like that. I like that his animation style is like black and white and this dramatic film, and all of his strikes are like really dramatic and stuff like that. And he's all serious and burnt out. And he's like, "Oh, I burned a match all the way to my fingertips just so I can feel something." It is so good. And Penny Parker, of course, they do her well. I mean, I don't really have any. I was never really a major fan of her, and I don't think she's that present in this movie in general. Peter Porker, I really think he shines. His animation style, he's basically Porky Pig as Spider-Man. He really shines. He's pulling hammers out of nowhere, wailing on people who are insulting him. He's getting insulted by like someone calls Wilson Fisk a pig, and he's like, "Dude, I'm right here." It's so good. Middle-aged Peter Parker. Now, this is one I really thought, and this one ended up being the most charming one. This is one I really thought would not get me, but he got me. Like, if you think, "Oh, this dude looks disgusting. He looks all burnt out. He looks all this. He looks all that." Dude, like it's not. That's not even it. Like, he's so fun. Like, everything about this movie. Like, dude, Gwen Stacy, Spider-Woman, Ghost Spider. They call her, she's Spider-Woman at this point in the film. There's a bit of shippage between her and Miles Morales. Now, that is not entirely new. They had like a comic at one point where they sort of hung out, and at the end of the comic they kissed. That's all I know. I didn't really read it. But yeah, as far as Miles being introduced in the crux of all this multiverse stuff, he's a Spider-Man. It makes so much sense. Miles Morales is from the Ultimate Universe. When that version of Peter Parker died, it's man, it is great. I'm definitely probably gonna see this later. Like, 5 of my friends want to go see it with me, and that's the thing. Like, if you have any preconceived notions about it being a Sony product, or about animated movies in general, about Spider-Man, how he's been portrayed in the media, about OSTs featuring underground artists and this hip hop sort of vibe to it. If any preconceived notions, let it go. It's a great time. It is a great movie. It is very deep, but at the same time very charming. It has a lot of surface level that people can relate to. But yeah, with that being said, guys, man, why can't we have more stuff like this more often? I love animated stuff. I love Spider-Man. I love when Spider-Man is done right. I love when Spider-Man is done well, when he's done differently. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm probably gonna follow the entire voice cast on Twitter. I'm probably gonna follow the animators. I'm probably gonna man. Okay. I'll see you guys next time for a video probably about Persona 5 on Switch. I'm not even sure, but with that being said, guys, I will catch you guys later. Peace.